Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Can I begin my remarks in trying to just find a little bit of consensus and agreement across the House? I think we're all basically agreed that we need to improve this bill in the committee stage, yeah? I think we're all sort of agreed with that. I think everybody seems to suggest and said that there'll be lots of amendments required in order to try and improve this legislation. Now, I might have inadvertently misled the House last Thursday when I broke the crushing news that there was only 8 days available for committee, because there's not. There's actually only going to be 7 days available in committee now. That is because we're going to lose 4 hours out of the 8 hours in day 5 and 4 hours out of the 8 hours in day 8, effectively losing a day. 7 days to practically rewrite the whole of the law system of the United Kingdom. 41 days were given to Maastricht, 29 days were given to the Lisbon Treaty, 21 days was given to entering the common market. 7 days for this great repealable. What an absolute embarrassment for this government. And they better come back with a proper programme motion to give this House sufficient time, because I've not got time for honourable gentlemen. On this side, I think we've been trying to outdo each other about trying to describe this bill. No, I'm not. Honourable Gentleman, just sit down. And what I would describe this bill is a hammer house horror of a bill. It's a bill that, in fact, gifts this government unprecedented powers to the executive. It's a bill that drives a coach and horses through the devolution settlement, and it's a bill that presents a profound threat to our human rights. It's harder, if it's possible, to conceive of a bill that undermines this taken back control mantra of all those who parroted it ad nauseum when they were leaving the European Union. Mr. Speaker, I think it would be fair to say I wouldn't vote for this bill on a month of Sundays. The UK is currently engaged in an almost unprecedented exercise of national self-harm with this whole Brexit project. We are indulging in a grotesque episode of economic, political and cultural self-flagellation, and by God, we are determined to give ourselves a damn good thrashing. Opting for the hardest of hard Brexits, we're actually reaching for the most painful implement in the box, and the scars and the pain will be there for decades to come. And then there's the negotiations. Let me put my cards on the table when it comes to these tricky conversations, and I'll try to lay them down as delicately and sensitively as I possibly can. Never before has an enterprise of such political significance been prosecuted with such utter delusional cluelessness, which is approaching a national embarrassment. It's hard to think of any major international negotiations being handled so ineptly and so chaotically, and it's almost as if we put the clowns in charge of the Brexit circus, and their huge clown footprints are all over all of this. We are becoming a national embarrassment with the negotiations, and this government has to start to get real and drop their delusions when it comes to this. And this repeal bill has only thrown salt on the wounds. But what interests me more than anything else on this is what this bill actually tells us about how Scotland is now perceived in this union of nations. Today we celebrate the 20 years of the vote that delivered the Scottish Parliament. 20 years of really taking back control, if they want to see it quite like that. And this bill presents the biggest challenge that our Parliament has ever had to confront. What this bill does is undermine the very foundation and ethos of the development of our national parliament. And that is, if it's not listed in the reserved powers, it's devolved. This was designed very elegantly by Donald Dewar as a means to determine and shape our national parliament, and it's served us so well since then. What this does is drive a coach and horses through, and it's worse than that, because the Law Society of Scotland tells us this. The effect of this bill would be to remove the legislative competence of the Scottish Parliament in relation to any matter in retained EU law. This would be the case even if it related to areas of law not reserved to the UK under the Scotland Act, such as agriculture or fisheries. Then there's the Henry VIII power, an innovation so spectacular in its political audaciousness that one of King Henry's executioners would balk at the whole experience. And we have our own powers, and I refer to them the Robert the Bruce powers. We're actually compelled to actually exercise these powers as part of this bill, even though we may have great and fundamental concerns about democratic oversight. We'll still have to do this. We are sailing, Mr. Speaker, to that big Brexit iceberg up there, but Scotland has an opportunity. We can get down below decks and get on that lifeboat labelled Scotland, get it onto the ocean and row as quickly as possibly we can to the shores of sanity. Yeah.
Order. After the next speaker, the time limit on backbench speeches will need to be reduced to 4 minutes. Liz Twist.